evening and thanks very much for joining us. The Thunder Bay District Health Unit reported 2 new cases of COVID-19 today. There are now 110 active cases in the district. That's 10 fewer than Sunday. The regional hospital also provided an update on the recent outbreak in its oncology unit. The hospital has confirmed 2 positive cases among the unit's staff. Troy Charles has details.
Thunder Bay Regional's COVID-19 incident manager, Dr. Stuart Kennedy, says he's certain there has been no spread of the virus following a declared outbreak at the hospital. The outbreak was called after a second staff member in the oncology unit tested positive this past Thursday.
So at this point in time, those 2 staff are off work, plus any contacts that those 2 staff have. I think we have a total of 7 employees have contact. They're also off work, self-isolating. And getting tested. We've tested all the patients on the 1A oncology unit, and they are all negative at this point in time, and they will be retested over the next, I think, several days again.
The hospital has closed off the unit in question, but is still treating patients who would normally be seen in the oncology department. Kennedy also provided an update on the number of COVID-positive patients currently admitted to the hospital.
We have 4 COVID-positive 19 patients in the hospital. We have 1 in ICU and 3 distributed throughout the hospital in isolation rooms. Their conditions are stable, and we expect a number of discharges from those units of the COVID-19 patients over the next several days.
Meanwhile, the district saw its lowest daily case count in nearly 2 weeks. The 2 cases are both in the Thunder Bay area. One was due to close contact. The other exposure is unknown. Both cases are self-isolating. And there's also some positive news from the outbreak at Southbridge Roseview Long-Term Care Home. Their cases continue to decline, with 61 now active, which is 6 fewer than Sunday and 10 less than reported on Friday. Troy Charles, TBT News.
Meanwhile, today marks the first day the Thunder Bay District enters the orange level of the province's restriction framework. For most shoppers and facility users, the changes will seem minor. But for certain sectors of the business community, they're facing even more hurdles and challenges than with the previous yellow stage. Corey Nordstrom explains.
As the Thunder Bay District moves from yellow to orange on the province's color-coded map for COVID restrictions, the biggest difference area residents will notice is perhaps an added focus on screening protocols at restaurants and other businesses.
Do you have any of these symptoms? Have you been out of the country? Have you been in contact with any confirmed or probable cases?
If you've answered yes to any of these questions, we actually unfortunately can't have you in the building, and you should go home, self-isolate, and call the health unit.
Now more businesses will be asking those questions, but Robinson says individuals should ask themselves those questions before leaving the house. She also says many stores and restaurants are going to change methods with the new restrictions.
We're seeing a lot of restaurants are already moving to takeout only to help to keep them going, but to reduce their overhead costs. And so certainly encourage folks to continue to do takeout as much as you can.
And a number of businesses have decided to avoid the new restriction altogether, closing to customers as they await greener pastures. Bars and restaurants now must close shop at 10 p.m. and can only serve alcohol until 9, 2 hours earlier than the yellow restrictions. Also, tables can now only seat 4 rather than 6.
Hockey games, football games, etc. start at 8 o'clock. Well, if we can only serve alcohol till 9 and people have to be out of the premises by 10, it really makes it difficult. Do people really want to come down only to get us to leave?
Sports and fitness facilities can't have more than 50 patrons inside in the orange tier, a change from allowing 50 in large weight rooms and up to 10 customers in classes. Jen Bizignano, the owner of Push Fitness, says the new restrictions aren't too bad, but the threat of what could be next has her hoping the community takes the change seriously.
If we were to move into red, it would max out at 10 people in the entire facility, and that would cause the greatest concern. So as far as the differences between yellow and orange, I had already implemented all of the orange changes when we entered yellow because they were pretty similar, so it just kind of made sense to lump them together.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
The head of Ontario's COVID-19 vaccine task force says the province will receive 2.4 million doses during the first 3 months of the new year. Retired General Rick Hillier says the vaccine will go to priority groups and won't be more broadly available to the general public until April. Colin DeMello has more.
The COVID-19 vaccine might be arriving sooner than anticipated, but the Premier rushed to reassure the public.
And we'll be ready, as we are now, to receive and distribute the first the batch of vaccines when they arrive on our doorstep.
The province is anticipating at least 85,000 doses of the vaccine, enough for a little over 40,000 people. It might seem like a small amount, but the general in charge of the operation says it'll help the province test out its distribution plan.
So we will go, for example, towards the people in long-term care homes who are in the hot zones, who are in the lockdown zones, who are in the red zones, where they've had problems with COVID-19 and suffered tragically from it before.
The province says after long-term care, it'll target hospital and healthcare workers, as well as Indigenous and remote communities. But the Pfizer vaccine comes with one major drawback. Once delivered, the province might not be able to move them.
Besides keeping the cold temperature, there is also a desire to limit the amount of movement because of too much movement around can also cause a deterioration in the product. So that's the physical movement, shaking, and agitation at that level as well.
Which means creating designated vaccination sites, complicating the process of delivering vaccines to those who need them the most.
And obviously many of the residents in those long-term care homes or many of the retirement homes, in fact, could not come out and go to a vaccination site.
The province says it would then focus on long-term care employees who can travel, therefore reducing the risk of transmission in a home. As the government works out the logistics, the province is also reiterating the fact that the vaccine will not be mandatory, but there could be consequences.
Who knows? There may be some restrictions in terms of travel or other restrictions that may arise as a result of not having a vaccination, but that's going to be up to the person themselves to make that decision.
The province is urging everyone, though, to get the vaccine once it is widely available.
The City of Thunder Bay is once again being lobbied to decrease its transit fares year over year and offer the service completely free by 2023. The recommendation was first raised back in October by Poverty Free Thunder Bay. City Council will hear a deputation tonight asking for that idea to be implemented. Poverty Free member Paul Berger will plead the case to councillors, and he comes armed with letters of support from about a dozen local organizations, including the Ontario Native Women's Association, the Thunder Bay Public Library, Roots to Harvest, and local Green Party of Canada riding associations. Supporters say the move will help turn Thunder Bay into a leader in the fight against poverty. The city did offer free transit during the first 4 months of the pandemic. Thunder Bay Transit officials have previously stated that fares account for about 35% of the department's budget and that eliminating the fee will cost taxpayers about $7 million annually. As the pinhole leak situation continues to cause headaches for city residents, a local plumber has teamed up with Ultimate Gymnastics to lend a helping hand. Brad Gibson has come up with a simple patch kit which can be applied in less than 5 minutes. And on Sunday, young gymnasts helped put hundreds of kits together for residents to use in case a leak pops up during the holidays. Avery McCrae explains.
The City of Thunder Bay is facing multiple lawsuits over the pinhole leak problem, which has cost residents thousands of dollars. To this point, the city has done little to address the issue, so master plumber Brad Gibson took matters into his own hands.
It's a very simple thing, and you won't have to throw away any extra money or whatever on a wasted overtime call, where somebody or the plumber might come out and install something just like this, except for just there's no sense wasting money.
The temporary patch can last years and takes less than 5 minutes to apply once the leak is found.
And then you apply the rubber right where the little pinhole is, and then tighten up your gear clamp, and that will squeeze the rubber against the face of the pipe or the copper pipe, whether it be 1/2 inch or 3/4, and when you turn your water back on, the leak will most likely be stopped.
Gymnasts with Ultimate Gymnastics took a break from the balance beam on Sunday and spent their day putting together over 500 pinhole leak patch kits to help affected residents across Thunder Bay. Gibson approached the gym for help putting these kits together with the goal of helping affected residents save money.
We're learning that the pinhole situation is pretty big in Thunder Bay, and we're a gym club that's always been involved in as many community initiatives as we can be in. Holiday time is big for us. We're always involved in different local initiatives, and Brad came to me with this situation and we jumped on board. Our athletes are always willing to lend a helping hand.
The kits include instructions on how to apply the patches, a piece of rubber slightly thicker than a bicycle tube, and 2 gear clamps to clamp around the pipe, all donated from local businesses looking to help. Temporary patch kits will be distributed throughout the city in hard-hit areas like Northwood, among others. For those looking to make a patch kit, they can get the ingredients at any local hardware store, but for those looking to pick up a pre-made kit, they can visit Ultimate Gymnastics or Dusty Care Car Center on May Street. Avery McRae, TBT News.
The largest mining claims holder in the Ring of Fire has announced a new major stakeholder agreement with an Australian company. The head of Noront Resources says he's hopeful this will be the push they need to get their projected Ring of Fire mining plans over the top. Wailu Metals will be Noront's new cornerstone security holder, owning roughly 35% of the company. Wailu is buying out the shares in Noront, previously held by American company Resource Capital Fund. Noront CEO Alan Coots is excited about the new partnership, and even though they're still about 5 years away from production at a mine in the Ring of Fire, he's confident that Wailu will be around for the long haul.
We're very excited because it's a company that has a lot of shared values and shared approaches with us. First of all, they're very interested in nickel, and they're interested in nickel as a metal for a decarbonized future. And of course, in the Ring of Fire, we got one of the best undeveloped nickel deposits in the world at Eagle's Nest.
Coots updated the status of the planned access roads up to the Ring of Fire that are being led by the Webequie and Martin Falls First Nations. He says all segments of the road are going through environmental assessments, and he estimates around 2 years or more before road construction could begin. A Thunder Bay man remains in custody following an assault on a security guard at a Shoppers Drug Mart on Arthur Street. It happened early Sunday morning. Police say the security guard confronted the man after he was observed leaving with merchandise he hadn't paid for. The accused reportedly grabbed a bamboo stick and assaulted the guard. He then fled the scene on foot before police arrived, but was arrested a short distance away. The 32-year-old suspect has been charged with robbery. And a 33-year-old man also remains in custody following a firearms incident earlier Saturday evening. Officers were called to a North Cumberland Street address over reports of a man with a gun. A suspect was located and found to be in possession of a plastic replica handgun. He's been charged with carrying a concealed weapon. And Christmas is just over 2 weeks away, and many have started to plan their holiday decor, including putting up a real Christmas tree. It appears tree sales have skyrocketed as a result of the pandemic, with many families looking to add some traditional joy to their holidays. Kayla Karim has more.
Christmas tree farms and local distribution sites are finding that real trees are in much higher demand as the pandemic has kept many people staying closer to home for the holidays. Terry Ferguson, president of the West Fort Kiwanis Club, says this was the earliest they've ever sold out of their stock of over 600 trees. They got some help on Sunday from T-Bay Tull, which covered the costs of the remainder of the trees in the lot as a part of their 12 Days of Christmas campaign. Ferguson spoke about why real trees are in demand.
People tell me that they don't want to look at a plastic Christmas tree again this Christmas. I want that warm, fuzzy feeling of a natural tree in the house. That brought people out earlier, also because we sold out early last year.
Although the Kiwanis tree lot has sold out, there are still some available at tree farms such as Slate Valley Christmas trees on Candy Mountain Road. Business owner John Hanna says they've already had their best day ever in sales last weekend with over 60 trees sold.
This is really our best year for Christmas tree sales. I think a large part of it is of course the pandemic that's going around. People want to get out of the house and we can offer a good, healthy, fresh air experience. And I think also that they want to make the most of Christmas this year after being cooped up so much. So perhaps a real fresh Christmas tree is a treat for their household this year.
Hannah says they still have plenty of Christmas trees left available. And both Hannah and Ferguson have noticed there have been a lot of new customers this year buying real Christmas trees. Kayla Karim, TBT News.
And some good news for skaters across the city as the ice rink at Prince Arthur's Landing opened today for free public skating. The rink has its own Zamboni and is open to the public each day from noon until 8 p.m. A handful of people were spotted this afternoon taking advantage of the nice mild weather to get out on the ice. Due to COVID-19, there are some new rules being enforced this winter as the rink has a maximum capacity of 60 people and the indoor change rooms are not being opened, at least for now. City officials are asking people to use the outdoor benches for putting on their skates and to social distance as much as possible. Hundreds of vehicles flocked to Lakeshore Drive in the Pass Lake area this weekend for the launch of the first annual Shunya Tour of Lights. Dozens of homes along Lakeshore and other parts of Shunya are getting into the festive spirit, decorating their yards and houses with elaborate Christmas light displays. On Fridays and Saturday evenings up until Christmas, volunteers will be at the McGregor Rec Center handing out free hot chocolate, courtesy of Epic Cones, in exchange for a non-perishable food item or cash donation. Organizer Stephanie Sorensen says they're aiming to bring some holiday cheer after the pandemic-filled year.
Being canceled, you know, Christmas was kind of looking a little different for a lot of us, so we started this. We expected it to kind of be small and just for our community, our close community members, but it ended up, you know, being way bigger than we expected, and we've got lots of attention, and we're going to run this till Christmas every Friday and Saturday.
Those looking to take in the displays can check out the list of addresses on the Shunya Tour of Lights Facebook page. The properties will be lit up every night throughout the month of December.
And kind of nice. I went down there, did the advancer on it. Some of those houses are completely decked out, like head to toe. It's pretty impressive.
Clark Griswold style, right?
Yeah, Griswold for sure. Fiona, not the night.